I grew up in a little town in Ohio, northeast Ohio, called Cuyahoga Falls. It was named after a river there that was named by the Indians Cuyahoga because that means crooked. It was a very crooked river. And we lived on a block where there were maybe 20 houses on each side of the block. They were all fairly small. Our house was a two-story. We had a small backyard with a grape arbor in the back. It had a basement with a concrete floor and a huge furnace. We played down there in the winter time, and we roller skated on the concrete floor because we could go around the big furnace in a circle and just kind of keep going around the circle. It was kind of fun because if somebody was behind you, they couldn't see you when you were on the other side, and it kind of made the basement feel bigger than it really was. And we had a blackboard down there, and that's where I learned how to do cursive because my mom had a shelf that she kept her canned goods on, and there were cans of Campbell's soup down there, and I would practice writing Campbell's, and that's how I first learned how to do cursive. We had a small kitchen and a dining room. And when I was really little, there was a bookcase. It was for little kid books, so it was a small bookcase in our dining room in one corner of it. And that was my corner where I would go behind the bookcase and take my dollies or my books or whatever, and I would play back there. We had a living room with a striped sofa that was kind of shiny smooth. Upstairs we had 3 bedrooms, and that's where our bathroom was, on the 2nd floor. My bedroom was the coolest because the attic steps were in my closet, and you could get there through my bedroom. And I also had a balcony off my bedroom, and so I had like an outside door at the back of my bedroom, and I could go out on the balcony, which we weren't supposed to do a whole lot, but my brothers put a ladder up to that, so we actually could climb the ladder and get up and down. Not that we were supposed to do that, but we did that a little bit. I had 2 brothers growing up, Lawrence, who was a year older than I was, and Robert, who was a year younger. We had mostly boys in our neighborhood, and so we played mostly boy stuff, actually. That's all I ever played. I played all kinds of sports. I think we thought we invented something like field hockey or soccer, but I'm not sure exactly what it was, but we played that a lot. We played football, we played baseball, we played basketball, we played army, we played detective. We rode our bikes a lot, and in the winter we would go ice skating, and we would have snowball fights, build snow forts and snowmen. So those are some of the things that we did. In the fall we raked leaves and played in the piles of leaves, and I remember we would put them in a big box and put the box in our wagon and put somebody in the box and pull them around, and then they'd fall over and all the leaves would tumble on them, and that was fun. To make money, when we were in grade school, we would pick up pop bottles around our neighborhood. There was a little store at the end of our street, right across from our block, which we went to a lot. My mom would send us there to buy milk and bread and bologna mainly, but they also had great candy and popsicles, and so that's where we took our pop bottles that we found and put them in our little red wagon, took them down there and got 2 cents a pop bottle, and we usually added it up and knew when we got to a nickel I think it was 4 cents for a popsicle, and candy bars were like 5 cents or 10 cents maybe. And so when we added up to when we could get whatever kind of candy we wanted, we would take them down there and trade them for candy. Our neighborhood was pretty friendly, and back in those days, the early 50s, people just let their children play in the neighborhood and didn't necessarily have to have a fenced-in yard or worry about them. So when I was probably 4 years old, and my younger brother was 3 years old, I don't know where my older brother was, but my younger brother and I were walking with my baby doll and my baby buggy, and we decided to go around the block, but we didn't actually go around the block. We kept going across the street and then went around that block, and then we realized we didn't know where we were. But it didn't bother either one of us. We just kept walking along, and a lady came out who didn't recognize us and asked us where we were going. And she asked us if we would like to come in and have cookies and milk, and of course we went in and had cookies and milk, because back then nobody told you not to listen to strangers, because everybody was pretty friendly. So she called the police, and they came, and I guess my mom had called the police too, and my mom came and got us, and my mom asked us, didn't you guys realize that you were lost? And my brother said, no, I was with my sister. I remember one time my 2 brothers and I built a little house up in the Great Barber out of cardboard boxes, and which wasn't very sturdy and didn't work very well. And another time we decided we were going to sleep out there, so we took our blankets and pillows and put our PJs on, and our parents let us stay out there for a little bit, and then we had to come in. Another time I remember selling the grapes. Oh no, I didn't sell them. I gave them away because I didn't like them. They were Concord grapes and they had seeds in them, and they were just gushy, and I didn't like them, so I would pick them and put them in a basket, walk around the neighborhood and just give them to, go up to doors and knock on the doors and ask if anybody would like some grapes, until my mom found out what I was doing. Because she used the grapes to make grape jelly, which I did like, and grape juice, which I did like. My dad had a World War I helmet that we used to sit in and spin around in that, and my mom had a butter making jar that we used to make these little, we used to color little strips of paper and run them through the gear part, and it would like crinkle it up, and we call them riffle raffles. And we were always trying to sell things, and that was one thing that we tried to sell. One of my favorite people in the whole world was my neighbor, Mimi, who was my babysitter from the time she was 10 years old when I was born, and babysat me until I was too old to be babysat. And she was our only babysitter, and she was like a big sister, probably more than a babysitter. My mom always used to say she used all her babysitting money to buy us gifts, us kids. And when I was a little bit older, I would go to her house and just watch her eat and watch her do dishes and watch her do whatever she was doing, so I could tag along and be around her. And when she got engaged when she was 22, it was really hard on me to think of her leaving, not being my neighbor anymore. I used to have lots of animals. With the dad being a biology teacher, we always had animals around the house, but I collected animals and collected baby birds that fell out of nests or that my cat caught, and I would take care of them up on my balcony so that when they got better, then they could just fly away. And the very first pet I remember having was a cat. We called her Mama Cat because it seemed like she was always having babies. So I grew up loving kittens, and then when I was old enough, I bought a dog at our local pet store for $4. I bought a puppy, a little black mixed puppy named Corky, and she had a little white patch on her chest. And my dad brought home things from his biology class that people would just bring in. So we had a rooster at one time who lived in our grape arbor. And I got a duck for Easter one time as a duckling and raised that. And her name was Penelope. We built a pen for her in one corner of our yard. One time somebody gave us a snapping turtle, which wasn't a great pet, but we had him in a pen. And in that same pen later on we had guinea pigs. And I always had snakes and salamanders and frogs and toads that I would catch. And I had mice, which when I was in 5th grade turned into a business for me. I raised mice and put a sign in the yard and sold lots of mice as pets and for science projects, and even sold them to the pet store. I got interviewed and they did an article in the newspaper, and I got a free coupon for McDonald's, which had just opened up in our town, which was pretty exciting. One of my favorite pets was a little raccoon, a baby raccoon that we found in our neighbor's garage. He got lost from his mommy, and my dad brought him home, and I tamed him, and he followed me all around, and I raised him until he got so big we had to take him and let him loose. He had a squirrel once, and a chipmunk, and a rat, and a mole, and we even had a tarantula one time, but he was one pet that I couldn't warm up to, and the alligator. Those two were pets that we had for a while that just weren't real snuggly. I used to like to dress my kittens up and push them around in my baby buggy. And I made clothing for my mice, which was not easy to make things that tiny. But those were some of the things that occupied my time. Another fun thing that I did when I was probably starting 2nd or 3rd grade, I took swimming lessons at our local Y, and that was fun to do that. And they had a craft thing during the summer that I got to go to, and I liked that. And then I joined Brownies when I was probably about 2nd grade, and that was fun. We did that after school once a week. And Girl Scouts. Our church was First Methodist Church in our little town, and we walked there because it was probably 2 blocks away. And I was part of that in the youth group, sang in the choir.